Please start.
As John F. Kennedy once said, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger, but the other one represents opportunity. Cathay Pacific today has suffered a loss of 575 million Hong Kong dollars. And your company had to lay off 600 employees, which actually influenced the motivation of your employees. So today, Cathay Pacific should not only focus on increasing and enhancing its services, but also focusing on your customer experience as well as keeping your employees engaged. We are the American University of Beirut, and we are here to offer you our solution, which we believe will help you eliminate the different dangers, but as well grab the different opportunities. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Joelle. I will be going over the analysis, followed by my colleagues Christina and Peter, who will be covering the implementation of our strategy. And finally, my colleague Ramzi will cover the financial implication of our strategy. So the main challenge today is that Cathay Pacific is losing and has declining profitability. You are facing different key issues. The first one would be the employee motivation, especially after the 600 layoff, the hedging strategy that you follow, and the operational complexity. And we believe that with our strategy to fly higher, not only will you be able to cover those losses and reach many good goals, but also reach a 3% compound annual growth rate in revenue per customer by 2021, in addition to a 2% CAGR in customer base by that same year, and finally a 5% CAGR in customer service efficiency by 2021. So if you look at the current situation, as I mentioned, you lost 575 million Hong Kong dollars, and you had to lay off 600 employees. So the main question is how to keep your employees engaged, how to sustain your customer service efficiency. And of course, in this type of industry, the competition is very, very strong. So the main question is how can Cathay Pacific actually focus, and you should focus on increasing the competitiveness of your company. So if you look at the airline industry in this region specifically, we know that it's actually composed of a third of the passengers worldwide are actually in this region, and this industry specifically is of 7.4 billion dollars. And we know that the air travel today is actually, the demand is growing at a very high rate. And Asia specifically is composed of, the population here is the highest type of population, which means that your company actually has so much potential to grow in this specific region of the world. So Cathay should actually capitalize on the growth and on this growing industry and grab the different opportunities that come with it. So if you look at the different forces that actually exist in this type of industry, as I mentioned, competition is very, very fierce, not only from low-cost budget airlines from mainland China and other countries in the area, but also from Middle Eastern airlines such as Emirates and many others. However, the power of customers is very high because they have the bargaining power. They can actually switch between any airline. They have many alternatives. On the other hand, substitutes are relatively low because if you want to travel on a longer distance, you might find other alternatives, but not the same type of alternatives. And yeah. However, with each industry comes different challenges. And the main challenge that this industry actually faces is the increasing costs. However, if we look at it from an economic point of view, profitability of airlines, they are affected by different factors. And one reason would be the higher demand for economy class, and today people, especially in this region, would rather travel by economy class. The fuel costs actually represent 15 to 35% of the general airline costs. However, airlines today actually struggle with four main things. They struggle with increasing their profitability. They want to provide customers with a better customer experience and offer them better services. And they have to actually understand their customers. So usually airlines should not only know what to provide their customers, but also know what to offer them and understand them in order to actually offer them a good value proposition. So as I I mentioned, the competition is increasing, is very fierce in this industry, and specifically in Asia and in the region. The number of airlines is set to increase to 250 airlines. So if we look at different factors, we notice that Cathay Pacific today actually has a break-even load factor of 123.5%, which is relatively very high compared to others. While it does have a good ranking on the Skytrack, so it does offer a good service, it might be relatively lower than other competitors. And finally, its load factor is actually a good thing. It's relatively okay with 84.5%. So your company today should differentiate its value proposition and know what to offer and focus on your customers, but as well as on your employees, especially after the big layoff. So today your company actually has a good amount of employees and you own 144 aircraft. You focus on both passengers and cargo services. However, your main source definitely comes from the passenger business. You have different strategic partnerships with different other airlines, and you serve worldwide regions. So if we look at your target customers, we took Lynette for example. What do your customers actually value? Today they value not only the prices of your tickets, but also the convenience that you offer them. And of course the whole customer experience. And if you have unsatisfied customers, you won't have, you have to actually increase the revenue per customer instead of actually increasing the number of your customers. In order, you have to try to keep your customers loyal, because your loyal customers are actually what's going to bring you more revenues. So your company should today respond to the different customer changes that are happening and tackle and target your customers in a way that you can actually retain them. And now I give the floor to my colleague Christina, who will go over the implementation of our strategy.
Thank you. We already know the main challenges that your company is facing. There's an intense competition in the industry, there's a problem of the quality and efficiency of your employees, and there's high costs and inefficiencies as well. So the big question, how are we going to solve all these problems? Let me walk through our strategy. As for the HR management, you need to keep your employees motivated and engaged in your company. First of all, they need to know how valuable they are for the company. Since you already had a big amount of employee layoff, you need to make sure that the ones that are working with you they feel valuable for your company. So how are we going to do this? Since the employees are the direct contact with your customers, they are the ones who actually get the most accurate data of how the customers are feeling, what customers are asking for, what are their concerns. So this is an opportunity for the employees to feel engaged with the customers, motivating them and encouraging them to bring ideas and concerns about the customers to the direct boss. And as well, there should be more face-to-face meetings with them in order for them to know that this is a friendly friendly environment, and they are actually caring about their employees. Like, your company is actually valuing the employees that you have, and this would actually make them feel more motivated to work, because this would be a more friendly environment. And as well, this would mean that they all feel like a family work, and they would feel like it's not job, but it's something they're doing, and they're actually apporting something. They're actually giving something new to the company as ideas.
All right. So for continuing with the second part of HR management, we realized that one of your company's problems is that you have a problem with employee quality and efficiency. So what we suggest you do with this is you have a more rigorous hiring process where you'd have more different types of assessments, for example, with different entry basket exercises, for example, or maybe different simulations to see how they react to different situations, if a customer is being picky, or if a customer is being very difficult or not agreeing to the certain airline standards or codes that are set by the aviation regulators. And a second part, for example, improve the training process at the training center to make them feel more at ease with speed and service delivery. Maybe work on being more eloquent or being more like providing a better class of service and being in a more discreet or friendly with the customers if that's a problem. And especially in this case, to make sure they actually try to account for most of your problems. Like one of your problems mentioned was that you did not have enough blankets on one flight. So actually train them to know to have maybe like a few extra amount of items stored in some extra compartments.
Now, as for how to enhance the customer experience in order to enhance the revenue per customer, we're suggesting to do a one-stop shop. So basically, through your platform, the customers are going to be able to book hotels, tours, cars, in order for to be more comfortable in their destination. This could be done through Booking.com, Big Boss Tours, or car rentals companies like Avis. And these programs would facilitate and make easier the traveling for your customers. And actually, you can also enhance this strategy to make your customers even more loyal to you. Like for example, with a miles program, you could give discounts through these platforms based on the tier level. So if they are gold members, they can get a 15% discount, for example, in a hotel.
Alright, so now for the second part of enhancing your customer experience, we suggest something that we like to call upgrading on ground, which is basically simply put, of giving your not premium flying passengers, as in premium economy and economy passengers, maybe the opportunity to buy a ticket or coupon access to the business class lounge, which would kind of give them the incentive to experience the business class effect of the flight on ground in the airport, which eventually might give them the opportunity or want to actually upgrade to the higher class ticket, which would be business or first class, which will give you in the end more revenues and more profit from that ticket. And so the objective is to increase your profit per customer and revenue per customer. This would be a good way to kind of show them what they could get if they actually fly in a more expensive class.
Now, what every customer nowadays values is customization. So how can you enhance this in order to create a higher value for your customers? You could have personalized messages on the TV screens. For example, welcoming the passengers, like it would be welcome Miss Mimi, welcome aboard. And you could also get like a welcome drink depending on your loyalty and how much you travel with the airline. This way the customers would feel like they're traveling at home. It's like something they're so used to do it because they're loyal to your brand that they wouldn't feel it's a long trip and tired. They would feel the whole opposite. It would be enhance their customer experience. As well, you could have a platform that provides suggestions based on the previous flight data, and this could be used only for the business and first class in order for them to feel an extra benefit and more comfortable with flying with you, because they're so used to fly with your brand that the next time they travel, they could have a suggestion according to the last entertainments they used in your flight. And this would actually also enhance the customer experience and make the customers want to go on business and first class.
So we believe, to summarize this slide, we believe that based on our customer experience enhancements, this would actually help you as Cathay Pacific become a love mark in your customers' opinions. By love mark, we mean it's like one of the highest levels of attachment and emotional attachment and respect and loyalty to your brand. So this way you would actually ensure lifelong customers, which is also part of your Asia Miles team, which is for Asia Miles loyalty program, which will actually offers lifetime platinum service if they fly enough miles. Alright, so now we have for the fuel cost and efficiency part. The first part of it I will handle, and the second part my colleague Christina will handle. For the first part, we suggest that you have a minor operational complexity that can be solved with something very simple. Since you already have larger aircraft bodies in your fleet, as the case mentioned, you considered selling 6 Airbus 350s 1000 to change them to Airbus 350s 900. If you actually keep the 1,000 rather than selling them and losing so much money on the investment after using them for only such a short time, and actually remove the operational complexity of your dual branding, which would be, for example, sending in parallel a Cathay Pacific flight and a Cathay Dragon flight to the same location, leaving at the same time from Hong Kong, you could actually use the bigger body plane and eliminate one of these flights, put more customers on one, and eventually, instead of sending maybe 10 flights per day to that location, you could send 7 or 8, which would actually help you save fuel and save cost in the long run.
And finally, we know that there's a fuel cost inefficiency because now as the history of your company showed, you have contracts with fuel companies which tie you to buy the fuel at a higher price. So what we're suggesting, it's a future option. Instead of having to buy the fuel at a high price when it's lower in the market, you could have an option that you can exercise when the prices go higher than expected. You could actually exercise this option in order to buy them at a fixed price in a lower price than the market. So to conclude our implementation, this would it's based on fixing the inefficiencies with the employees, because the employees are the direct connection to your customers, and this would let them have a better customer experience, enhancing the customer experience of the customers in order to increase revenue per customer, and fixing the inefficiencies of the fuel costs and management of this. Now I leave the floor to my colleague Ramzi for the financial implications of the strategy.
Thank you, Christian. So what implications will our strategy have on your profitability? Now, our strategy aims at enhancing the revenue per customer. However, we believe through implementing our strategy, this will also indirectly affect the customer base. When you enhance your value proposition, more customers will be attracted to your services. So, please next slide. So here, looking at your current baseline customer base, your current customer base stands at 34 million, and it is currently growing at a CAGR of 0.8%. However, using our strategy, we projected that this customer base will increase at a 2% rate instead as you enhance your services, and this instead will result in 36 million customers by the year 2021. And concerning now the other variable in this equation, the revenue per customer, it is currently decreasing at a rate of 10%, which puts your company at a state of crisis. However, we believe as you enhance your value proposition, this projected RPC will be flat for the current year. Like, we were a bit conservative on this estimation as you make this transformation. After being flat in 2019, we proposed this growth to be 2% in 2020, and finally in 2021 to be 5%, leading to a projected RPC to increase up to $370 by 2021. Now, based on these two variables, your baseline revenues currently increase from $11.7 billion up to down to $11.35 billion by 2021. However, using our strategy, we believe these incremental revenues will result in $2.12 billion, as your revenues increase instead to $13.47 billion by 2021. And concerning the margins, you currently are experiencing negative margins. However, as you enhance your services, by the year 2021, we believe that your profit margins will diverge towards the industry average profit margin, which is 5%. So, and also, you are also initializing the layoff of your employees, which will decrease costs of 30% over the years, as mentioned in the case. So this will result in higher profit margins, along as our strategy of reducing your costs. So, as we mentioned, this profit margin will converge to the industry average of 5%, and your incremental profits as such will result in about $1/10 billion by 2021. This will result in incremental NPV over the 3-year strategy of $120 million, discounted at a rate of 10%. Now, we decided to take our financial analysis a step further. We conducted a sensitivity analysis to take a best case and worst case scenario, taking two variables into account. The first variable is the growth rate modifier, based on the growth rates projected in the model. And the second is the WACC, the discount rate. Now, at the best case scenario of 140% growth rate modifier and 6% WACC, your incremental NPV will stand at $141 million. In your worst case, it will be $92 million. And in our normal case scenario, which is based on our projections, it will be $120 million. which proves that our strategy, regardless of external risk factors, will also be profitable. And now I'll leave the floor to my partner Peter to walk you through our risk and risk mitigation.
Alright, to quickly take you over our risk, the main risk that we thought of is what if you do not have enough capacity on your current flights. So the main risk, on the short term, we suggest that you maybe add more flights again, depending on the amount of traffic, or simply defer your customers to different flights if it's possible. And then on the long term, preferably order your planes with different body configurations, with different business class to economy class ratios. And now I'd like to leave the floor to my colleague Joël to conclude.
A good strategy always starts with a good plan. Analyzing the situation and understanding our root problem are all tasks that help us define our strategic direction. And we believe that with our strategy to fly higher, Cathay Pacific will actually be able to land in the right place and hopefully reach a customer experience score of 9/10, as well as a $13.47 billion revenues in 2021, and finally a 4.8% profit margin by that same year. We thank you for your attention and we welcome any questions you might have.
Thank you very much for the presentation from the team of American University Beirut. Now we will proceed with our 15 minutes question and answer session. Judges, please take your questions.
So my first question was, how did you come up with the assumptions of 2% or 5% CAGR? What is it based on?
It's based on our strategy. We believe that it's currently decreasing over the years. However, using our strategy, at this stage, we're a bit conservative on this estimate. Like 2% usually is as a business rule of thumb, we can use 2% in general to project our growth rates in case we're enhancing the value proposition. So based on that, as your services enhance over the years, we believe 5% in the terminal year would be a more effective estimate.
In the recent past, the service has been declining as suggested by two of the rating agencies on service. So how do we ensure that the service goes up? And that's why I was not very clear, how did the 2% come on that by increasing the customer base?
Yeah, it is currently decreasing, I agree. However, in our estimation, we believe that we're actually enhance the value proposition, and this will give you a competitive advantage over your competitors. As such, you'll attract larger customers, not only more customers who are paying more. Based on that, this will elevate your revenues. And this is accompanied by the reductions in the cost side. As your company is implementing cost reduction strategies right now, laying off employees, economies of scale, using more aircraft for economies of scope, different purposes, and as such, we believe this profit margin will actually elevate. And that's why the growth rate we're a bit we projected it to be 2% for this year, as the initiative is currently being implemented. However, as the years progress and the costs lower down, the profit margin will even increase further.
My question is, you have been aware that actually Cathay Pacific's load factor is pretty high right now, meaning that they don't have much capacity to take on more passengers, as is mentioned in your risk. Have you also considered that, the mitigation action also have an impact on cost as well? And how would that impact into your calculation of profit projections?
Yeah. Would you like to take it?
Yes. Actually, our strategy is focusing first on enhancing your actual customers, your loyal customers, enhancing their experience. Because in the short term, we want to increase the revenue per customer. But as a long-term strategy, it would be to fix this problem with the capacity, that it would mean attracting a larger scale of customers.
And also, if I may add, your capacity in the planes currently stands at 84%. However, there is margin for even improving this figure in particular. So we believe, if need be, we can even increase the capacity further to accommodate the customer needs. And of course, this will have its own cost implication, but as we read in the case, the company is already actually implementing capacity enlargement initiatives. So this goes along well with our strategy.
So Cathay Pacific was used to be considered as a premium airline.
Yes.
So do you fundamentally agree that we should continue to stay premium? And if so, you did mention in your presentation about the increasing, I think you mentioned about increasing the economy class.
Yes.
Then increasing the economy class and further reduce the business class, do you think that is a violation of the strategy?
If I may, it would actually depend on the destination where you're going to, because sometimes to specific destinations you have a higher amount of traffic in economy class than business class, which is perfectly normal depending on the proximity of destination. For example, from here to Shanghai, on average, it's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So most people, especially businessmen who are traveling for business, their company would rather pay an economy class ticket than a business class ticket, because the business class ticket is about 3 times in value of the economy class ticket. So they'd rather save that money and be able to send the person on multiple trips in economy rather than spend that in 1 week, or maybe give them better hotel. So it makes more sense in this case to consider the possibility of maybe changing the ratio of business class to economy class seats, depending on how much frequency or how much demand there is on this, which would actually be helping you maximize your revenue per customer.
So running back on your strategy about your hedging, you mentioned that maybe the company should consider buying option, but option will require some one-off cost to be booked initially. So can you elaborate a bit more? So do you suggest, and in terms of the percentage of the hedging, do you suggest that it will be fixed to a certain percentage, or it will change?
Actually, we looked at some exhibits, and the current oil futures stand at $57 per barrel of oil. Now, if you have more time, of course, we would look actually at the number of barrels and look at the industry overall. However, futures, we believe in this case, is more safe than a forward contract. A forward contract binds you to purchase that barrel of oil at this specific price in the future, and it ties you, and that's why you're losing a lot of money. You lost about $500 million because of that deal. So we believe even if we incur a fixed cost for the short term, it is safer on the longer term. Instead of losing $500 million you can actually just ensure to lose a fixed amount. However, you can mitigate any risk pertaining to fluctuations in oil prices.
Going back to the question on the strategy, so on one side, you were suggesting that increase the number of economy streets, and at the same time, if you want to increase the revenue, and already we are at 85% capacity, so the industry standards are around that rate. So how do we further increase capacity from already existing capacity?
It is not our primary target to increase capacity. It comes as an indirect cause of our strategy. Our main target is to increase the revenue of that 84%. Like from the existing customer base, we're gonna try to maximize revenue from that. And your customer base is actually already growing at 0.8%. So the implication of our strategy is only an incremental 1% CAGR increase. So this is not our primary target. However, in our projections for the increase in revenue per customer reflect our initiatives towards enhancing your value proposition in this case.
Elaborate a bit more about the point on human resources management. You mentioned that you want to exactly how you propose to make sure those who are remaining can continue to.
Okay, so for example, those who would still be in the company, we would suggest, for example, if they're more direct contact employees, like more frontliners, we would maybe suggest a periodical training period to just as a friendly reminder of our basic core values and context and what the do's and don'ts, especially that since as Cathay Pacific you are constantly upgrading your services and enhancing them, you would need to be retrained based on the new services to be able to know how to use them and better to help the customers fully experience them and fully use them. So it would be a minor cost to incur on your side, but it would actually greatly benefit your customers, because they would feel the full capacity of what you offer, and it would actually make their flight with you feel even more complete and like a better experience, which would also go back to the point of becoming a love mark, because you want your customers to really truly feel attached to you and be the objective is to have them as lifetime customers, so to be 100% loyal to you and try to stick with you as their main flight option.
I may add to my partner, recent studies have been really highlighting the point that customers should really feel engaged with the employees. Like the employees of your company directly influence the experience of your customer. So we believe by targeting our employees, making their life better, it will reflect in better experiences for our customers. Once a customer, if I see on a plane that the employee is not happy, I would be like, why isn't he happy? And it would be just, it would simulate our thoughts to why it isn't perfect. But in this case, if everyone is happy, then it's a perfect experience.
If I may add, we have two main areas to consider. You can have a motivated employee that doesn't have the proper training, and this would actually cause it on the long term to be demotivated because he's happy to work, but he doesn't know or have the knowledge on how to actually do the proper work. And at the end, it would affect directly the customer. And at the same time, you can have an employee that knows all the rules and procedures, but he's not motivated to work, and he or she is not motivated to work, and this would actually also affect the customer experience as well. So our strategy is focusing on both the motivation of the employees and the training of the employees, because we believe procedures are really important in order to deliver this value to the customer, because employees are in direct connection to the customer.
On the employee side, out of 33,000 employees, a large chunk of them are pilot and crew, and another chunk of them are in service on board. Both of them have strong unions, and given the history of the union in the last 15 years, what do you specifically suggest for managing the pilots or the onboard crew? Your strategy about training is very generic, so is there anything specific on these two groups of people which are on front line?
Yeah. Based concerning training, we believe that these unions are always opposing you when you provide unfavorable conditions for your employees. So we believe by targeting your employees directly, we will provide you with no chance, we will provide the unions with no chance to actually attack you or provide any strikes to put you out of business. So we're actually directly targeting the employees, making their lives better, and this will be reflected in the actions of the unions. And based on that, we believe that it will be, all your stakeholders will be actually content with what you're doing. This will negatively be presented in your financial statements.
Go ahead.
One of the most valued things nowadays in a work environment is for it to be a friendly environment. By working every day in a friendly environment, they would be happy to work there, and they would actually, it's going to be harder for them to find any concerns or anything against your company in order to go for these unions and go against your company.
So if I may add to that, you should actually give more incentives to your employees in order to encourage them to stay engaged and motivated, because as my colleagues mentioned, if your employee is not satisfied, your customer won't be satisfied, and that will directly affect your profits. So maybe you should give more incentives to your employees, encourage them in some sort of way in order for them to feel more engaged and happy while working with your company.
And you could actually enhance the partnerships that we already have with other airlines by providing more benefits to your employee, maybe like more discounts for them to fly with other airlines that your airline doesn't tackle those destinations for. So this would actually make them feel more motivated to be working for you, and they would actually increase the benefits that they're having from your company.
Probably be more flexible with the days off and things like that.
In your strategy, what are you proposing for Cathay Pacific to be in? Is it continue to be a premium airline?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be low-cost carriers? And how are you going to face off competitions from these low-cost carriers that's coming up?
Yes, so actually we are suggesting that Cathay Pacific stay in its current status of a premium airline, since it's been doing well in that field for some time now, and people are actually used to seeing Cathay Pacific as a premium airline. Now what they can do to deal with the competitors is actually try to offer more competitive pricing for some destinations regarding the low-cost airlines, or eventually in the long term, if you feel like it's a really massive problem, you could try to go for an M&A of a smaller local airline, and then be able to target the premium and the low-cost airline industry.
As a marketing term, we always try to find the sweet spot between the differentiating high price and between providing good pricing for price-conscious consumers. So we believe Using our strategy, we will be able to find the sweet spot because it's still a premium service. However, it's still offered at a relatively lower price than the large carriers.
The number of airlines are going from 200 to 250. So, how do we anticipate challenges coming from unknown factors? 50 new airlines coming in.
I think the barriers to entry are really high in this industry. Like it requires huge amounts of fixed costs, leasing airplanes or buying airplanes. So for the moment, for the short term, we're not looking at how these small players will affect us. But over the long term, of course, we'll definitely take it into consideration. And based on that, we believe we will be able to enjoy the benefits of economies of scale because of our large operations. These small players are going to incur huge costs and they do not enjoy any economies of scale when they first enter. But we do enjoy this and we can even employ our assets for various purposes. And based on that, we believe it's extremely high for them, extremely risky for the long term if they actually grow up to be large carriers. But for the short term, like we're not really.
If I may add to that, competition will never be gone. Competition is always present, and that is why your company should stay flexible and adapt to the different changes that are happening in the market and in the industry. And of course, focus on your customers and adapt to their consumer preferences and the changes that are happening.
Yeah, basically you shouldn't be worried about the small players for the short term as they won't enjoy any cost advantages. It's very hard to enter this industry and perform well.
Now, if there are no further questions from the judges, thank you very much.